Step into the light where the wild ones roam, where the heart speaks loud, calling this place home. We break the rules, we paint the sky, ridiculously you. We were born to fly. Ooh, it's ridiculously you.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Ridiculously You podcast, where we ditch the filters, rip off the masks, and finally show up as the whole damn masterpiece that we are. I'm Julie May, and today I'm talking to a woman who is redefining what power looks like. Her name is Lara. She is a nervous system ninja. She's an intuitive coach, a solo mama who leads women back to themselves after burnout, betrayal, way too much freaking survival mode stuff. Lara, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here, and let's get diving right in. So we're the Ridiculously You podcast, right? And so one of the first things I like to ask people is like, what was the moment you decided to be your full self, to start loving all the ridiculous parts of yourself? Because that's kind of like the journey that brings us here.
I think it started in my obviously the self-love, self-worth, self-value journey, but I really didn't know. I spent most of my life performing. And so performing to be accepted, performing to be pretty, cool in whatever the case is. And I never felt like aligned. So in my healing journey, which is everlasting, but I've been in the depths of it for the last 5 years. I guess one of the biggest things is when I started peeling off the layers of performance. So when I started realizing, oh my gosh, I've been pouring, like, who am I? Like, what do I actually like? Like, what is my favorite color? Like even when it comes to clothing, like I've been doing like closet clean out of closet clean out. And it's just like, well, what actually do I
Yes.
love? What actually makes me dance? Like, what doesn't make my skin crawl? And so like going through that, you sort of then look at, you're like, okay, well, who am I? Like, what do I actually like? Like I used to sort of get clothes that I thought were flattering on me or that I'd feel good, but then at the same time, they don't light me up and make me twirl around. And so, like
Mm.
there's so much that I sort of went through being like, oh, okay, that was totally like a stage in my life. But going through it, now it's like, okay, well, it's embracing what you actually love. Like I've been a leggings kid since I was a toddler. Like I was always in, Kmart leggings. Like I was just always in leggings. And so like in my like adult years and going through that, it's like, no, 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 but that's what is I'm comfortable in. And I need
Yeah.
to rock what I'm comfortable in. And yes, you can dress up and all that kind of stuff, but like I had such a conditioning of dressing to fit in, dressing to look a certain way, and really it has nothing to do with your external appearance. So like that
Mm.
really for me it's like it truly it's like no everything was like a reevaluation of like my own skin because I spent my entire lifetime trying to go with the trends and not even just with clothes, but it could be with music or it could be with, activities that you do or anything like that. Like everything was to fit in and go along. It's like, okay, that's what you
Mm.
have to do. This is like to be social, like get out, like this is what this is definition is. And so through that process, I also learned I was so codependent on needing to be around like people like like in my healing journey and I joke about hermit mode a lot but like I think there's such a powerful gift in shifting your perspective and being comfortable in your own company and like for the longest time like couldn't do things on my own or was like really uncomfortable to do things on my own and I just needed to be around people.
Yeah.
So even though if I was quiet and like staring at everyone across the room, like I needed to be in social settings. And through the last big round in my healing journey in the last 5 years, I enjoy my own company. I enjoy being by myself. I enjoy my own space. So yeah, it's just been like unraveling to actually just discover who I am and honoring what I really like.
Cool.
That's
So you talked a little bit about performing most of your life, like putting on a show for others. What do you think like led you to feel like you needed to do that?
I think it was like a conditioning. Like we're conditioned to perform as babies. Like, like you walk and your parents are clapping for approval and like good job. Like you learn to perform for someone else's reaction
Mm,
right away. Like, and
mm.
so and I'm not saying that there doesn't need to be encouragement in the development of children and everything like that, but we are ingrained to that there's a reaction if we do something that pleases someone else really, really young. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I think it's more of a I think it's just a way of being, a way of, people pleasing, making someone else happy, loving them, all the distorted, you know, ideologies that we take away from that. But yeah, I think it happens like really, really young.
Super young. So people are clapping for you when you're walking and you start like having these things where you dress a certain way and they're like, "Oh, Lara, that's so cute on you." And then you're like, "Okay, okay." Oh, when you do this, "Oh, we love that." And you're like, "Okay, so if I do this," and then it's like, "Okay, we kind of get addicted." Like that's how your subconscious works. Like we're getting these reward centers coming in, right? And so then we like alter our behavior so that we can get these reward centers coming in. And over time, that builds up us just like doing the action to get the reward center instead of it being like aligned with us, right? So
100%.
you're doing that and doing that and doing that. And then, like, at what point did you go, I don't even like these things? Like, was there a moment? Was it over time?
One of the biggest, I guess, unravelings of it is like when I decided to leave my marriage and go through divorce and think about actually how I show up with like male partnerships. That
Mm,
was like the biggest eye opener for me because that was the most dramatic. Like that was the most like in your face, it's not layered. It's like extremely obvious. Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it's
yeah.
so like that's, like there's a lot of things that we do that you don't think is performing. And then when you break it down, you're like, yeah, yeah, it is. But like when I was thinking about like dating again and what I wanted in a partner and how I showed up in my relationship. So when I was actually doing like the reflective work on my marriage, I realized how distorted I was living. So that was the biggest, I guess, first shift when I
Yeah.
actually looked at myself in relationship. Like, then I realized that you're like, okay, well, why am I always disappointed? Or why, what am I putting out there? Or, vice versa. Because I mean, you co-create your own reality. So
Oh,
even
for sure.
though we go through intense situations, that was created by my own, programming. So it's like, but I think that was the first time that I could actually clearly see what I was doing in relationship. And a lot of it too came in like with intimacy, how I was performing. Like it was very, very obvious what I was doing to be loved.
Mm,
And so when I stripped that away, being like, okay, well, this doesn't mean love. And, you did all of this in your marriage, and this is still what happened. So when I actually like broke down all of my actions, I realized how those actions weren't coming from a place of clean intention. It was to manipulate an outcome of like being loved or adored. Like it doesn't need to be
Yeah.
like malicious, but like you're trying to set the stage for the best possible result, and that's not genuine. Like that's not truthful. So I think that was like it was my awareness of how far and how crazy making I've been conditioned and programmed to think the way that I thought. So
So, what do you think the difference is? So, like, relationships, they're multifaceted and complicated, and there's all of like, there's the role we play, there's the role our significant others play. What do you think, like, this beautiful? I want to know if you know, like, what's the balance between, doing things because we care for each other and wanting to create a relationship that's loving and whatever, like there's certain things you do for that, but there's also honoring yourself and being there for you. What do you feel like that balance is? Because there's all of these like learn their love language and show up for them this way and be that kind of partner that you would want to have. And there's those kinds of things, right? There's that conversation. And then over here, it's like, and show up authentically for yourself and make sure your needs are met and don't do things for the manipulation of trying to make this be something that it's not. What's your thoughts on that?
So I believe that we like I mean it's a loaded question, but I'm going to try to unravel it. But like I truly believe that there's no compromise in relationship. So meaning that if you are compromising or if you are settling or if you're doing something that your partner likes but wouldn't come to you naturally, you're already thrown out of alignment. It's
Mm,
like when I think about like the girlfriends that I have and like the friendships that I have and all that kind of stuff, there's no effort when you just click and you don't see each other for 4 months, you pick up where you left off. There's no judgment, there's no shame. You love each other fiercely. Like, and once again, different people can be in different seasons of your life. But
yeah.
I think that in a romantic partnership, yes, we all have love languages, but I think that ideally you match with somebody who has very similar ones. And if it's different, like obviously from a feminine energy, masculine energy standpoint of
Mm,
things, the masculine energy wants to serve. Like that's just how they show love, all that kind of stuff, like in their acts of service, like a lot of times. And and the feminine, depending on what it is, it's like, well, the love languages, even though they're there, it's the root of what they make that how they make the individual feel. Like I don't really think it's the actual actions themselves between acts of service, gift giving, words of affirmation, all that kind of stuff. That's all. We have to be our own sovereign beings. Like we have to get to a point that we love ourselves so much that we don't really need anything from anyone else. We just show up as ourselves and there's that connection. Do you have to be a kind, considerate, decent human being? 100%. Do you need to make sure that you are taking care of the other person's heart and considering them in everything that you do? Yes, I think a lot of people aren't going into they're going into relationship but they're not going into partnership, and I
mm,
think partnership is a very different weight when you look at how do we work together, what do we both bring to the table that we can move forward together. But when it comes back to the difference of like, well, am I doing this because they like it? Well, if that's not you, then yes, you are performing. Like, you know what I mean? And so if it feels if there's resentment over time or resistance or all that kind of stuff, it's because that doesn't come to you naturally. It's like there's some people that are natural caretakers. They're
Yeah.
wonderful at caretakers. And there's people that they can, but that is not their superpower whatsoever, and they can still be mothers and they can still be friends, but there's some people that are natural caretakers and there's some people who don't, who resent it, who get tired, who drains their energy, and then there's some people that just love on it, feed on it, you know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
makes them feel so good to help out. And so once again, if someone wanted a caretaker and that's not who you are, then anything you do, any action that they say that they like, will always be disingenuous. Like it will always feel off. And so I truly don't think that I think someone can express what they would love from their partner, but if it's connected to specific actions that don't come innately from that other person, I think there's a disconnect in expectation and also a disconnect in, well, why do you need that? Like, what safety and security or validation do you need? Because once again, words of affirmation are validation. Like,
Yeah.
we need to be witnessed, but validation is something that, you know, I don't seek outside of myself. So sometimes we need it, like in a coaching session or a reading, to be
Yeah.
witnessed on the process. But generally speaking, you know, I don't need, you know, a man to tell me I'm beautiful to know that I'm beautiful. Like, do I want my partner to love and adore me and think I'm amazing? 100%. But if I'm seeking words of affirmation that I'm beautiful all the time from my partner, well, that means that I have an insecurity that I really need to work on to know why I'm seeking that external validation outside of me. So, I think, and once again, some people where they are in their journeys require that, and that's okay. But, you know, at the end of the day, you're still then feeling like you're performing if it doesn't come naturally for you to express the way that the other person will receive it and vice versa.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't think you can actually do something not innately and not it be a type of performance to some level.
Yeah, you brought up some really interesting points there that I actually super agree with because I'm like, yeah, it's a different way, but it requires you to kind of look at relationships in a really clear lens
Yeah.
because we have a couple of things here. It's bringing your whole most healed self to a relationship first of all, so that the other person isn't necessarily like required to fill the gaps that you haven't filled for yourself. It's, yeah, we love having, you know, kind things said to us or somebody to buy us a nice gift or for them to do something nice for us, sure. Additionally, it's not in a way that's like, if they don't tell me I'm beautiful today, I'm just going to crawl down and cry at the end of the day. Like, I'm a whole healed human. And those things naturally come out of you when that's your thing and you totally love the other person frequently. It's like, oh, I'm going to naturally, because that's how love works, right? When I am my highest, most healed self and I love the other person, I'm going to show up and want to just like showcase what love feels and looks like to me in my natural way. And I think where the harsh thing comes in is, let's say this person's a really whole healed person and this one's a whole healed person. And they're like, that if you're your most whole healed person varieties, you're probably going to do really well if your energies connect and those kinds of things. But if you're a little trauma and you're a little trauma and your natural expressions are different from each other, and you're like, but we're trying to love each other, but if I don't hear words of affirmations, I'm going to feel sad. And if this person's like, I don't do that, but I'm going to serve you, and their things don't match and they still are like, but I'm trying to make it work and I love you and I love them, but I'm hurt. It's like your amount of trauma and your natural expressions are not matched, and that can
No,
be a
and
harsh
most
reality to decide
people,
to look
yeah.
at. frankly.
And the root of it, I mean, there's two multiple components, but the
Yeah,
root of it is if any of that shows up, it's love with conditions.
it is.
And and so, that's a huge thing, like in my own healing journey. What does it mean to be loved the way that you want to be loved? And that's with no conditions. But for me, even for myself, I had to rewire my brain, even with my own daughter, to learn that, or my dog. Like, you know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? Like we don't realize how conditioned we make love. Like, you know what I mean? Like if someone
Yeah,
doesn't do that, then I don't feel loved. Well, that means that that love is conditional. Like it's
yeah,
conditional on an action, it's conditional on affirmation, it's conditional on, you name it. And so at the end of the day, the end goal, right? The end goal is to be loved and to love with no conditions. That's
yeah,
that's what true love is. And I think most people don't even have the awareness that they love with conditions. You know what I mean? And
hmm,
so I think that is, you can love somebody, but I'd say 95% of people love with conditions a lot of times, right? Like
right.
condition that they call me, that they check in on me, that whatever the
Yeah.
case is, right? Like it's so easy to put conditions on relationship. So I think that's something to be mindful of too. Like the second that you're pulling away or someone's pulling away, you're like, okay, like what did I put that? And because what happens with conditions, that's judgment, that's shame, that's guilt, that's,
Oh yeah.
you know what
It's
I
like
mean?
your
Like all that kind of stuff.
expectations
So
all of a sudden, yeah.
how do you get to a point that there's no judgment or self-criticism or criticism or anything like that? So it's a big unraveling topic. But once again, two people match each other. Me and my ex-husband,
Yeah.
we matched each other's frequencies and we created a baby, and you know what I mean? Like, and that's fine. And then, you know, I started healing and he did not, and then you go different ways. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but but I think that, initially you always match somebody at your frequency level. You could
For
be
sure.
healing different things, but you're definitely in some realm, some level of the universe, you are matching somebody who is at the same frequency of either self-worth, self-value, trauma, you name it. You're always, you match people with where you are.
Oh, for sure, 100%. So you match people where you're at and you form these
Mhm.
relationships. And then this is how I like to describe it. Like when you get in relationships with somebody, you have like an energetic cord that goes between you, right? So if this is you and this is them, this is my little demonstration. Imagine like there's like an energetic cord between you and you're like you come together and you're matched and you're like, "Yay, kissy kissy, we're all fine." And then one of you starts growing and growing. A couple of things can happen here because this is like kind of like an elastic rubber band, right? So if you're growing and growing and growing and they're like being stubborn, all of a sudden it gets to be uncomfortable, and a couple of things can happen in this uncomfortable. They can decide to come up with you. Cool.
Yeah.
They can do that. They can go, "Why are you pulling me up here? That feels comfortable. We stay here." So what I'm going to do is dig down and go down here so that we meet in the middle, because that middle frequency will be the same if they go down here. Or they can just like stay and you can keep growing and growing and growing. And at some point, the tension becomes too much. And you either the cords snap violently or one person decides to opt out, or this person decides that was too uncomfortable, I'll go back down and meet them where they are. Somebody has to move, because if that tension gets too much,
Yeah.
something is not going to work. It's going to snap, it's going to break. Somebody's going to opt out, because over time it just doesn't work to have that be too big of a frequency disconnect between you.
And a lot of people don't end up moving. Like
Yeah.
it's, you know what I mean? Like, the most people settle because they're so terrified of being alone because that's
Oh
like
yeah.
one of our innate fears. So at the end of the day, it's like the healing journey and the courage it takes to move forward is not light. It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. Like it
Oh, for
takes a
sure.
lot of courage to be making huge life changes and throwing your life upside down. And it could be for a shorter season or a longer season, but it's not, it's never easy and it takes a lot of courage. Like, and it takes, but once again, you're like, okay, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I could stay and I have to accept that this is my reality. But if I want more for myself, something has to change. But
For sure. Like you're this guy. At some point you realize this tension is so much that if you're going to continue, you're going to do it on your own. And so a lot of people go, ooh, financially having to do all of the work yourself, all like doing everything and being complete. That takes some bravery.
yeah,
That takes a lot. And so like for the people who have gone back and stayed, I get it. I see you. I was that person for a really long time. I don't know if you know Lara, but like my divorce was only finalized like a couple of months ago. Like this last relationship I was in for, well, we were married for 23 years, so together for like 24 and a little bit. So like, and a lot of times I was that person that would grow and grow and grow and then shrink back down and then grow and grow and grow. And like that was me. So like I get it. It's scary. But additionally, at some point, you decide that to be your highest best self, to be, your most joyful, your most happy, your most everything. At the end there, like the last couple of years, I was pretty autonomous. Like I made all my own money. I did all my own things. We were basically divorced living in the same household. Like, I don't know if you guys have,
yeah,
these relationships. That was me. I traveled by myself. I had my own business. I did pretty much everything myself. It was just kind of like roommates kind of situation. But additionally, it's still like the energetic cords are still there. Like until you sever them, they are there. And
yeah.
there are, things that are consequences of that. So one of the things I want to know from you, Lara, is so you made the decision. You're going to be the big brave person. You're going to continue your growth. You're going to get divorced, which is when you have kids and things is kind of scary to be out and be like, I'm going to be solo mom. I'm going to be responsible for the things and I'm going to take care of it for us. So, can you take us back to that time a little bit and just tell me what do you feel like the first couple of changes you made for you were when you were like, I'm choosing me. Here's the first couple of changes you made.
For me, one of the biggest like catalysts of my wanting more for myself was seeing it was like you try not to marry your father, but then I ended up marrying my father, like in a,
Yeah, I know what
weird
you're
way.
saying. Yeah.
And one of the biggest things for me was like I like having a daughter, you truly a lot of times like I see myself in her. Like even though she's having a different experience, my childhood traumas, triggers, whatever, just get like heightened in viewing. So like one of the biggest things was like when I made the change, it was because of a lot of different events that happened. Like I had a new baby, like things sort of escalated even before her first birthday, and we were together for almost like 10 years before that.
Wow.
And so um, I when I made the jump and the shift, I did it for myself. Like I couldn't live a lie in front of my daughter. Like I couldn't say that this is what love is and this is what you get to aspire to and this
Mm.
is what a healthy relationship looks like and this is what it looks like to be loved, the way that you want to be loved. All that was a lie. So I couldn't, for me, I I've always been very motivated with work and businesses and you name it. And I I was always more of the primary breadwinner in our
Yeah.
relationship. And so I already knew that I had the confidence to do that. It wasn't more of a, but even when it comes to parenting or whatever, it's like I felt like I was a single parent in the relationship. Like, so I didn't, it wasn't like I was like worried about being a solo parent because I already felt on my own. Like, I already
Yeah.
felt like I was making decisions on my own, like all that kind of stuff. Also, I was in my masculine energy because I was just trying to drive and control and like all that kind of stuff. But like, like for me, it was just like it wasn't really a, oh, like what does this look like? And I just was at a point that I couldn't get through the events that transpired, and I couldn't get through what I wanted now that what I knew that I wanted for myself. Like I couldn't get there. Like there was so many things that like my when I say like I grew, like I was in corporate, I was in HR, I was doing headhunting, I was doing all that. And then I decided to flip the script, went through a physical healing journey, had miscarriages, you name it, and then discovered my own intuitive gifts. And so I left a corporate career to be a coach and a full-time intuitive. And so if you all of a sudden become an intuitive and your partner thinks you're crazy,
Yeah.
well, there's a huge disconnect. And even though there was support in like, oh yes, I support you doing that. He supported me going and making money, but like he couldn't have the conversations and speak into the world that I was in. And so it's like, okay, right. So I feel like I'm parenting solo, like this is disconnected, like my spiritual, mental awareness of what I want, like we're not in sync, like there was nothing that we had in common. So like when we broke down, like where I was, and once again, it was that we grew different ways. Like what he wanted for his life and what he wanted to do on the weekends was not what I wanted to do. And yes, you don't need, like I don't want somebody that I'm a companion with that we do everything with because that to me is exhausting. Like
Yeah.
I you do your thing, I do my thing, but I want the fascination and the interest and the deep conversations and that friendship. And so when you're now in two different worlds and have two different thoughts and you can't, there's no common ground, and so it's more of a, when you realize how not aligned you are anymore, that's okay. And once again, it's okay. But it was, when I made the jump and I made that move and everything, like we were middle pandemic, like, like
Mm.
so um that was pretty intense. So like everything sort of came to light literally in June of 2020, and then our separation date was August in 2020. So like it,
Yeah. So
like
things are still pretty hardcore.
we're right in it. We haven't gone into the bubbles and the social circles and all that kind of stuff that where we led. I mean, I'm in
Yeah.
Canada, so it got pretty intense up here. But like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like all those things, it's just like yeah, it just I didn't when I have something in mind, that's just my personality and I go for it. And I was just like, okay, well, this is where we're going. Like I can't just sit here and like fake it. Like I can't, it's so uncomfortable, it's so unhealthy. And then like it really like having a daughter, like that was my fuel, that was my catalyst because I was like, I can't.
Mm.
Like that's not what she's going to where I'm not repeating this. And so and in that process, at this point, I still wasn't at even the place of self-reflection that I knew all of this about myself. It was
Yeah.
just it was like you said, when it comes to the band, the universe makes it so uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And when I say ugly, I mean like I'm really like, neutralizing the situation. But when it's so ugly and you're in the heat of the moment and of everything, like you can't just stay. Like it's so uncomfortable that like tensions rise, like, emotions get high, like you can't do it. And so it was more so like I couldn't stay in something that I was so deeply disconnected from.
Yeah. So if you had one piece of advice for somebody in a situation like that, what would it be? Let's say there's not like physical abuse or anything like that. Let's say it's a relationship that it's the tension. It's the one person's growing and one person's not. It's that uncomfortable moment where they could stay. They could. But
Once again,
additionally,
there's
yeah.
no wrong or right way. It
Mhm.
is your way and your path. We are all just living out the curriculum that the divine has put out for our soul's purpose. Somebody has to stay in a relationship for 35 years to realize that, to find their self-worth, to do the work slowly. Some people like to rip the band-aid really, really fast and just go with it. Like you have to still make sure that you can take care of yourself in the process. So there's some people that can't leave relationships right away. It has to be strategic. It has to be planned out. You're adults, you suck it up and you figure out how to make it work for whether if you have children for the sake of the children. And when I say make it work, we can be mature about this. If there isn't actual horrific environments, you know what I mean? Like you can make a choice saying, okay, right, I can be a bigger person. Let's figure this out. Let's make sure there's the responsibility and safety and all that kind of stuff. Let's get that organized. I was fortunate that I was able to make that move right away. Like here, also in the pandemic, houses were going for double what they were bought, like our
Yeah.
markets all over the place. So there was I was able to do that financially. I was able to, navigate that out. I was still, the primary caretaker for my daughter because, daycares and all that kind of stuff were closed. I decided to keep her home until she went into school. So it was like, but I truly think like you have to just look at your situation and say, okay, right, even if this is my intention, and sometimes your partner wants to grow with you and wants to, work at it, and that's beautiful. Like two people can get there. Somebody might not end up doing the work at the end of the day or want to take accountability, but in my case, my ex-husband did not want to do the work. So that was not ever an option. It was always a no. So even at the beginning, I suggested that. I did that. Like I went through what most people would do. Like, let's go talk to someone. Let's see if we can navigate this. And then there was such a resistance that wasn't even an option. It wasn't an option until I was finally ready to go and had a lawyer, lined up. So like once again, it's like, okay, well, genuinely if you wanted this relationship enough, we would not be at this stage already. So
Yeah.
it's it was more of a no, 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 like really like take the time to self-reflect and what does that life look like, and know that it's not an easy road, but the end vision that you hold for yourself is what that faith, that end vision, that what when it comes to your self-worth. If you hold on to that, then that's enough to continue to pull you through because it's this like grounding point that you're trying to get to, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, everyone's situation's different, but I truly think that no, 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 look at your situation and make sure that you're taking care of yourself in the situation. And so that self-care might look like staying, might look like, organizing finances on your own. That self-care might look like doing some more inner work so you could be clean and clear in all your intentions and how you move forward. So I think it's about taking the journey of accountability and self-awareness in regards to, right? There's not just one partner. It takes two to tango.
Yeah.
What does that look like? So I think it's really everyone's situation is so different, but I think making sure that you are caring for yourself and you're doing everything that aligns with this end vision that you hold for yourself. I think that's the most important thing to be mindful of.
Yeah, for sure. And I love how you talked about there's so many different ways to go because we're each on our own path, right? My path, my trauma, my learning experiences, my way of expressing myself as a a spirit being in a human body trying to navigate this world and have a learning experience here. My learning experience is going to be different than yours. It's going to be different than our viewers. Like each of them has their own beautiful uniqueness to it, that tuning into your highest self is definitely the way to go. Okay, how does this look for me? Like, what is my best path? So you're an intuitive. If
Mhm.
you wanted to teach somebody a little bit about, like, how do I tune in, like, tell our audience a little bit more about that. Like, if they're having some crossroads moments, maybe it's not a relationship, maybe it's a job, maybe it's just whatever their crossroads moment is, and they're like, I just want some answers. What would you tell them about how to tune into kind of that intuitive higher self part of them that can give them some answers that are not based in trauma? Or even I when we do work with my clients, we kind of put trauma in a little thing, and we're like, okay, well, parts work, right? We're going to put logic over here because logic's important, but additionally, not necessarily high self. And so, like, how do we get down to, like, what would you tell people? How do they get down to, like, that intuitive highest self? This is what's right for me right now, kind of an answer.
I think what people need to reprogram themselves are is to reconnect with their senses.
Mm.
We are human beings. We are an animal, like we are animal beings. And so many of us stop listening to what our body is saying. So from like an intuition side of it, like we're all intuitive, like every single one of us. Intuition's just a muscle. Like some people work out their muscles all the time, and some people work it out once a month, and some people, don't go to the gym for years. And then so it's like, once again, it's like intuition is truly something that you practice. But I think that like the first step in a lot of times is honoring what your body is telling you. So once again, it's like if if you're not like fully excited about something, then it's like, okay, right. So something in me is saying that there's a resistance. Well, what is the resistance? Is that a fear? Is that just because it's new? Like, right? Like it's
Mm.
helping. I think getting back in touch with your senses sort of like reignites your trust and your knowing with to make sure that your actions are aligned. Like when you do something, even if it's uncomfortable, once you do it, you generally feel lighter. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't
Yeah.
have regret, you're not in your head. Like you're so clean and clear with what you said or what you did that you have no regrets. Like there's no mistakes in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, you could do something that you shouldn't have done, and there's bad behavior, and that's a different story. But from a mistake, even the crappy things, that was how you reacted in that moment. That is a window of opportunity for you to take a look at and figure out why you reacted that way to have a different outcome in the future if you have the luxury to do that again, right? Like sometimes our choices lead to areas that we don't have that opportunity, right? That we don't have the luxury. But at the same time, I think it's really important for individuals to connect with what they're feeling. So once again, it's like, where do I feel it in my body? Is it in my chest? Is it in my throat? Is it in my stomach? Right? Like, where is it? Is it, your root chakra, your sacral chakra, like all that kind of stuff. And even if you're not into like your energy meridians, it's like, no, no, no. Like if you're hungry, well, your mind, if you're dieting, says like, no, I'm not hungry, and your stomach is grumbling and you're irritated and agitated, your body is telling you to feed yourself, right? Like, and
Right.
so once again, it's just like, okay, well, am I really excited to go get this? It's like even with clothes, it's like, should I get it? Should I not? Well, does it make you dance? If it
Yeah.
does, yes. If it doesn't, no. Like, you know what I
No.
mean? It's like, so I think we need to be a lot more mindful and aware of our actual reaction. Like a lot of times too, it's like say it in front of a mirror. You know what I mean? If your face goes like weird and you're like, okay, well that was a lie. Like that's not flowing properly. So it's like, so what is that? And so once again, I think it's just if we can come back to, there's some people that we like the smell of. There's some people that we don't. There's some people that, you know what I mean? Like all of the above. Like, so there's some food that you want to eat. There's some food that you don't, even if it's something, it's how the meat was cooked or how this was cooked or whatever the case is. So it's just like you have to listen to your body. Your body is literally your compass. That's why people do muscle testing and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Like, right? It's the same thing using a pendulum. Like all of the above, it's all being a witness of your own body's energy. And so going back to the senses, yes, channeling and all the clairs, clairvoyant, clairsentient, all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff come into play when it comes to intuition. But the first is it is truly getting you connected back into your senses. And that's if you could start trying to recognize yourself through the day and become a little bit more aligned with what your body's telling you, you'll be able to navigate things in more of this like flowed state and you feel a lot more aligned in what you decide to do.
Yeah, so our physical body is giving us clues all along the way. It's trying to talk to us. It's like, hey, have you considered like your mind is doing its thing and it's like, repeating like subconscious trauma patterns or whatever. And your body's
Yeah.
like, also, additionally, have you considered this? Says your heart, says your stomach, says, wherever, And so if they can connect back to like the physical body and the sensations that are happening and pay attention to, is it racing here? Do I feel choked up here? Do I have butterflies in my tummy? I love do I feel like getting up and dancing? Like that to me is like fan freaking tastic. And if you can pay attention to those things, it's like those little clues along the way that help you go, oh, this is true me. This is what's really happening. And I think that's a fantastic place to be,
Well, it brings you back into your body, which
into your
is your
body.
intuition, right? The head is
Yeah.
the ego, right? The head is their or ego or fear. That's all of our
Yeah.
mind. But our physical intuition is rooted in our heart center. So it roots you back into your physical vessel. And that's why the senses are like one of your biggest navigational compass points in regards to moving forward or making
Yeah.
decisions or
And it's a new pattern for a lot of people because I think many people, when they get to be in an uncomfortable situation, all of a sudden the thing they want to do is disassociate, which is like a disconnection from heart, mind, body, right? They're gonna throw some TV on. They're gonna go drink too much. They're gonna like do something to disassociate with the actual physicalness of feeling the emotion, feeling the body, like seeing what's best for them because it feels uncomfortable. It's a muscle. It's and we've kind of, many of us have been trained since we were little to kind of go to other things. At least in America, if we're like in school, it'll be like, oh, you did a good thing. Instead of feeling the emotion of do a good thing, it's here's a pizza party, here's a donut, here's a feed it. It's almost like a disconnect from that, right? It's like, oh, you did a bad thing. Oh, we're gonna punish you with this. That also is a disassociation from feeling the actual feelings. And so many people grow up, at least this is, I always say this is gospel according to Julie. Many people grow up with this. They don't know how to handle feeling the actual emotion in their body of the moment, allowing
yeah.
that to do a thing, and then feeling the emotion and like the connection with their physical body of, and now what? And so they disassociate when the thing that they need to be doing that is going to be best for us is to connect back in with our body, allow the feelings and the emotions to like feel and be processed. And then like, how is that being expressed? And what does that mean for me? I think is like the best thing they can do. Okay. I have one last question. Actually, I have two last questions for you because I always have like the guest from before you always leaves a question for the next guest. And so I have their question for you, and then I want you to give your question for the next guest. And then we're going to tell people how to connect with you after this because I'm sure they will want to know way more about getting into their intuition and feeling these things and like being able to navigate a world where they're brave and they're like really being their highest self. So they're definitely going to want to connect with you. So the question the last guest left for you, and this is for a personal question. This is not for like everyone else. This is for you right now. The entirety of the question is why now?
I feel like I've reached a point in my when you're coaching or even as an intuitive, you can only lead people to where the level that you're at, going back to what we were talking about relationship. And I feel like I'm at a point now that it's about actual living the way and integrating everything that I know. And I truly feel because I feel in alignment with everything that I'm doing, I know I've reached this point that it's like, right, now it's time to share. I mean, I've gone through the weeds, the divorce is finalized, gone through the court cases. Like my daughter's now, I'm not just doing coaching and readings and all that kind of stuff while she's in nap time and in my free windows. So it's like I'm at a point now that I'm ready to lead. I'm ready to share. I'm ready to come out of my hermit cave. Like, you know what I mean? Like the time is now. So but yeah, no, I just I feel ready, and I feel like the only thing that I can do now is to lead the way by living the way. And so I want to, why I'm sharing now and why I'm starting to post again and all this kind of stuff is because I'm at this place that it's like, right now all there is to live. Like, you know what I mean? Like you get so lost in your healing journey, and you get so, and when I say lost, it's so complex, and there's so many layers that you, like I said, you'll heal forever. Like healing is in circles. Like you do one layer, you find another layer. You move through things really fast after doing all that work, but it comes in layers. And so it's no, I'm why now? It's because it is now. Like there's there's nothing else. Why now? It's because we're here. Like that
Because
is.
we're here, because it is now, because that's what I always say. The only time we have control of is right here, right now. That's all we have. And when we decide like that we're gonna be us, highest self, whatever we have right now, that's what we have. So like when you're
And
like, why now? Because it is now.
but that's going back to anything. When do you know to leave? It's because it's now. You act in the moment.
Yes.
Like, healing isn't a wild formula, it's a choice. Like that is every moment, every layer, it's a choice. So really, it's not just why now, it's because that's what I chose to do. And everyone who wants something different for themselves, there's no secret formula. It's just little choices that all align, going back to the vision that you hold for yourself. So
Exactly.
that's, that I think is is the why now.
Okay, and what question do you want to ask our next guest? So they're going to come on, we're going to get to the end. What question do we want to ask them?
What they're most excited
Ooh, I love
for
that.
their future self.
Okay, what are they most excited for? All right, Lara, how can people connect with you after this?
So the easiest place would be through my website, so www.larabokovay.com. And then through there, you can connect with me. There's, you can look at the different coaching containers that I have and readings and all of the above.
Fantastic. Are you on any of the socials? Are there social places they can
I'm on
come
all the
follow you?
socials. So
On all
Lara
the
Bokovay, I'm the
socials.
one and only. So just spell my name in Google and I'll populate on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. So you on LinkedIn, like you name it. So there's just one of me.
Beautiful. That's so helpful. That's so helpful when there's just one of you. There's only just one of each of us, right? But you just get one of you with your name, so that makes it easier
Yeah.
to find. So thanks for joining us, Lara. Thanks for tuning into the Ridiculously You podcast, where your full self is always the most powerful one in the room. If today's convo lit you up in some area, make sure to share it, tag us, spread this rebellion of self-love, and we will see you next time.
Share the spark, take it higher. Hit subscribe, bring a friend. Let the wildness never end. Tap in, stand true. This is your crew.